This friend of ours, listen, this story is wild, and I'm just telling you that we know this guy. Steve has known this guy for a lot of years, so I'm just telling you that this is real.
All right. So on a call this week with some apostolic Bethel group, and I've known my friend in Denver. He's a pastor there. I've known him for almost 20 years. And he tells a story. This is a guy on his team there at the church in Denver, and he went into a store and he saw a guy who was dressed as a girl, and he walked past him, kind of noticed him, and eventually it's like the Lord said to him, "Aren't you even going to go ask his name?" And so he went up to the guy who was dressed as a girl, and the guy said, "Well, my name is Gloria." And he began to talk to Gloria about the Lord, and to Greg. Well, I'm going to give you the rest of the name here in a minute. I'm getting ahead of the story. But this man was very angry about his upbringing, about his identity. God made a mistake in his identity and all of that. And so while this guy's talking, the guy from Peter's church there, he starts hearing the name Greg. And he says, "Well, does the name Greg mean anything to you?" And the guy's like in shock, because Greg is his real name. And he's like, "Yeah, that's my real name. My parents named me, but my parents were wrong. And God was wrong." I mean, he's like, and he's all upset about it. And he says, "Well, what would it take? What kind of miracle would God have to do to show you that he's real and that he didn't make a mistake when he made you Greg?" And he says, "Well, it's going to take a really big one." Well, he says, "Well, I'm going to pray for you. We have a really big God." And he begins to pray. He begins to pray for this guy. And all of a sudden, the guy begins to feel a burning where he has a tattoo. And he had tattooed the name Gloria on himself. And he's feeling it just on fire. He's like, "I feel this burning. I feel this pain." And he lifted up his shirt and looked. And it now said Greg. And the guy just shouted, and he ran off at that point. He actually couldn't even catch him. But we serve a miracle-working, mighty God.